Hey everyone, welcome to Geek Rant. It's Greg again on the channel with Toby and Sarah. And today we're going to be talking about episodes 6 and 7 of the She-Hulk series. But before we start, we just want to remind people to subscribe and obviously press the little bell for alerts. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. We are talking about episodes 6 and 7 of the She-Hulk series on Disney Plus. These we missed the previous week, so we're catching up today. And what's even better is we've got Sarah on today to have a chat about it with us.
Yeah.
Toby and I have been fighting our way through this, and it'll be nice to have a female perspective on this. So that's good news. Keep it more rounded. Anyway, so the first episode 6, was called Just Jen. And was another classic She-Hulk episode. I'm afraid.
It was so pointless.
Right. Oh, good. I'm glad you said that.
Well, obviously, at the end of episode 5, you saw a glimpse of Daredevil's mask.
Yes.
And I thought, hang on a minute, this is going to get more interesting.
They teased it, didn't they?
Yeah. I thought Daredevil's going to be in it, and I thought she was going to have some really cool outfits to wear.
Yeah.
Did either of those things occur in the last 2 episodes? No.
They could have filmed this totally independent, couldn't they? This was so the Just Jen one was about going to a wedding, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
she obviously met this guy.
Yes, that's right.
The point. That's the whole point of that meeting.
And to keep this silly thing going with Titania. Which again.
Well, at the beginning of the episode, she says, and yes, this is a completely pointless episode. Well, in a roundabout way. She says she breaks the fourth wall and says, and we are going to have a completely separate episode here. So sod it. We're doing it.
Yeah, which is completely pointless. I just can't get over how far it's just shite. It's not got anything to do with Marvel. It teases things that could be quite interesting, but actually it's just her being trolled by a dude that's death threats, but she's She-Hulk, and what does that matter? Like the other superheroes get to deal with real world issues, and she's going to be worrying about a troll who wants to kill her online.
Okay, absolutely. But what do you think then is the purpose of this episode? What function does it serve in the She-Hulk universe? Why have they done this?
I think it's only because they got this Josh guy in to get her blood. That to me was kind of the only real purpose of it.
They could have done that in so many other ways, didn't it?
They could have done it in so many other ways.
Yeah.
And it's a bit belittling for her that he's fucked her and he's fucking her over.
Yeah. Which everybody seems to do, don't they?
Yeah.
She's constantly fucked over by other lawyers, the people she represents, apart from Abomination, her friends, the guys she meets. They've made it so shallow, it's almost hard to believe
that it's Marvel. That it's Marvel.
It is Marvel.
Well, not even just that. It's I felt it's, although it's written by a whole cast of women writers, it's very derogatory to women in general. The characters are very base, aren't they? They don't have any real substance to them, and they're only ever really sort of worried about external appearance,
men and what they think of them.
They're all joke characters in this, and it's I know it's supposed to be a comedy, but it's not like you just have like these real weird caricatures in a good comedy, do you? You still have a character, and you still have a bit of she's made to look really stupid and pathetic in this, isn't she?
It's so terrible.
And it's very belittling. Yeah, they're trying to create a light-hearted modern sitcom where they've got some characters who like to laugh and be silly a bit, and they're trying to take all the gloss off the serious issues and just kind of sort of bring it right down to a very low baseline, aren't they? So any sort of serious scene, like the court case, is just made to look stupid by people acting stupid in the crowd.
I mean, you're totally right. I mean, if you look at that episode 6, they had this character. So she was off going to the wedding, wasn't she? And her friend, when she turned up as She-Hulk, her friend said, "Oh, can you just be just Jen?" You know, so it became a sort of just Jen episode where then she got drunk and all that sort of thing. But in the middle of this, they also had this divorce thing about this guy, Mr. Immortal, you know, who was just, every time he got into a relationship, he got married, he wanted to break up with them. Instead of telling them he wants to break up, he killed himself. Now, this could have been done in a better way, but it was really crap. And then the bit where the two lawyers start ganging up on him a bit, he then just throws himself out the window and lands, and it was like...
And that bit gets filmed, and then all the other partners turn up. So that actual action triggered the next sequence of events. An action that had no sense or logic to it.
No.
I mean, for one thing, you can't really throw yourself out of a window like that, because those windows are pretty toughened glass. Do you know what I mean?
No.
It's like on the 30th floor, you're just going to have glass that you can just fall out of. You know, it's do you know what I mean? He just ran and well, maybe super strength as well. But I thought, my God. But
I think it's really bizarre because it's got no connection to any other Marvel story. I can't see how they're going to link it up. I just think it's such a waste of time. It is like a car crash. And do you know what? It's only half an hour a week, but my kids...
It's not even half an hour.
Because I'm getting stuck on it and I have to watch it in 10-minute segments. My kids are like, "Why are you watching She-Hulk all the time?" And I'm like, I'm not watching She-Hulk all the time. You just walk in when I'm watching it for 5 minutes because I can't watch it all in one go because it's so shit. And I want to see what's going to happen next, to see if it's going to redeem itself or what.
Well, Greg and I talked about this last week, didn't we? And I think that ultimately there are a couple of things in play here. We want to know what they're going to do to Daredevil, because he's a great character. Yes. We love Daredevil. Yes. And we also, as you said before, Sarah, it's in the Marvel universe, and we have a vested interest in the Marvel universe. And we expect certain things.
Yeah, and you feel like you have to watch all of it to understand the destination and the complete story, because they do intertwine the stories.
Yeah. That was one of the strengths, wasn't it, of Marvel, when up to Endgame, you know, if you include Endgame and that sort of that whole selection there of films, they all really intertwined really well. They kept to a certain character trait, and they kept those things all the same. You know, we were disappointed when in the first couple of episodes when they had Wong in there and he was just acting like a buffoon, you know. And it's like, hang on, is this like maybe this is an alternate world now? Maybe we're in the multiverse and this is just some crazy place that's not part of the real, you know,
Wong has never Wong has never been taken his role as supreme leader like good enough for me. I just think I don't think he doesn't seem to have...
It's even worse in this show.
Exactly. It makes him seem even worse, and he doesn't seem to have the power that he should wield in that position.
No,
it's really weird.
But there's also in this current episode, there's Titania, and she's an interesting character in the comics. But they've just made her this very superficial concerned about image, you know. She's actually in the
influencer, isn't she?
She's like a wrestler or a fighter in the comics. So she has a job, you know, and this is where her influence comes from. But in this show, we just seen her as as a tart, basically, don't we? She just turns up trying to outdo She-Hulk with the way she looks. You know, and you just think, oh, come on.
I think they could make She-Hulk a bit cooler. Like, she looks terrible in all these outfits. She's supposedly gone to this really cool dressmaker, you know, tailor, who does things for superheroes. And she's ended up with a load of drab outfits that are nothing. we haven't seen a super her yet. And
they hadn't really. They kind of mentioned that the first dress that she was, the blue dress that she was in, was that supposed to be from this guy?
Yeah.
You know, it was okay.
It's like, it needs to be. I know this sounds terrible.
She's daggy.
Sexy, doesn't it? She-Hulk was sexy in the comics.
Yes. Yeah.
And why can't she be sexy? And she talks about so going on to episode 7, she goes in, she sees Abominable. I still don't know what's going on with him. He's obviously going to do some double cross.
Yeah, there's something coming.
It's so weird, and if he doesn't, it's going to be so disappointing. They've ruined such an interesting.
Well, if you look at the trailers, there is a bit where you see him as Abomination walking through a crowd of these guys. It looked like it's his retreat or something, but there is definitely another sequence to come of him as Abomination.
Right.
And I mean, if we talked about, I mean, because we're talking about 2 episodes here. I mean, the episode 7, again, it's kind of another separate thing, isn't it? Really, it didn't.
Yeah.
What a weird episode! What a weird episode. I mean,
at the beginning there, we had that very quick sort of dating montage type thing where she meets this guy, goes on a few dates, sleeps with him, and then he doesn't call her back. And again,
and she's just looking at her phone all the time.
Yeah, they've made her so desperate, haven't they? They've made her
desperate is
her
the word.
Phone all the time. When she's driving up to this retreat, she's looking at her phone and she's driving. You know, all this sort of thing. They really make her seem pathetic, you know, and she's not. She's not.
Well,
you know,
I thought that this might be a premise. You know, in the first few episodes, they may have her appearing the weaker side. Of 2 characters, She-Hulk but you know, they've carried it on. It's dragging on and on now. She's so daggy and pathetic, and you just think, you know, can't you just get to the point? There's going to be some character where she obviously overcomes things, but it's just getting so tiresome. You know?
It is. And it was obviously they go up to this retreat where Blonsky is got his, you know, sort of what would you call it? It's a retreat, isn't it? Where he helps counsel people and you know, all that sort of thing. But they all seem to be sort of weird superheroes that are sort of there.
I don't know whether they're real superheroes. I haven't looked them up actually.
I think a few of them are. I think they are.
They?
I
like that, real superheroes.
But they don't look it, do they? They don't look it. They look like
from the canon.
From the comics.
Yeah, from the comics. They're the real superheroes, not ones they just made up. You know,
these are characters that come from the comics. But obviously it probably look a bit different and obviously very different personality traits, because I don't think they'd be here at this retreat. But I mean that whole bit where she's just wandering around desperately trying to get signal so that she can, you know, see if this guy's text, and then she wanders in and finds them all. You know, I was just at a loss.
There's no plot.
Where's this going?
It just wanders through stupid, pointless scenes, you know, that aren't connected in any way.
I mean, was that so that she could sit down and they could help her and make her see, don't be so hard on Jen, your Jen, you know, side of things.
It has been coming that way. Yeah, it's been coming.
Yeah, I think that's what they were trying to achieve. That they were trying to say Jen is good and you know, be a bit like her a bit more.
It's cringy. It's very cringy.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's a bit disappointing is she hasn't had to do anything interesting as Hulk.
No.
And Hulk.
You mean Shrek? Oh, sorry, Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah, the computer graphics are terrible, but the outfit that she's now supposed to be wearing should look better on her as Hulk.
She's not going to look sexy, is she? She's not going to look sexy as Shrek, is she? I mean, she looks kind of all bumpy and soft, and you know, when her hair's down, when her hair's covering her face a bit more, it looks a bit better.
They haven't done it right. Yeah. They've fucked it up big time. The whole She-Hulk. They've ruined it.
Yeah,
they have. I don't think there's any salvation for She-Hulk after this season, unfortunately.
No,
she's like one of my favorite superheroes.
Yeah,
and to see what they've done, it's very difficult to come back from this. And you have to blame Jessica Gao. I mean, she is the creator and the writer for the show. They've let her loose on this, and it has been terrible. She has to take the blame for this.
Oh God, yeah. They need to, if they ever attempt a second series, they've got to have a major overhaul. You know, I don't think she's bad as an actress and is fine as the Jen character. I just think they need to get away from all this sort of. It's always sort of been bashing somebody. There's always some sort of negative comment about somebody else. Do you know what I mean? And there's not really much of that in Marvel generally, is there? Do you know what I mean? It's there might be a baddie who they're trying to get, but it's not like, oh yeah, well they don't look good in a dress, or their dating app is crap. You know what I mean? It's really bizarre. I think that's my problem. It's nice to hear you sort of how you're thinking about it, Sarah, because I was trying to think, who is this show for? Who are they trying to target this at? You know, we've said that before. And and I was trying to think, is this the kind of thing that a 30, 40-year-old woman would like? But I don't think it can.
34? Why 34?
No, 30 to 40, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I meant 30 to 40. You know, I think that's their kind of range that trying to aim at, you know. And
well, the women in it are that sort of age, aren't they?
Yeah.
So you'd think that maybe Jessica Gao was looking at a sisterhood that would be engaged with this kind of banter, maybe.
Maybe it's a younger audience. I don't know. I don't know. It's really hard.
The topics, the gauge. Tinder, the dating, the kind of sexual comments. You know, the visual that isn't young kids, is it?
That's,
you know,
I don't think so.
People in their 20s, I have no idea. I can't imagine anyone really enjoying it.
No, I think
some people are really loyal, aren't they, to Marvel? We are. Well, I feel I have to watch every Marvel thing so that I know the full story. But I feel like
it's interesting
a waste.
It's interesting you say that, because we put a poll up on the Twitter account.
We did.
Now that, talking about the public and you know who it's aimed at. So the question was, She-Hulk episode 6 airs tomorrow, but so far it's been trashed by many viewers. Is this a new low for a Marvel series? And we had 4 possible answers. We had no, I'm enjoying it. That got 33%.
Wow.
Really?
It's not too bad. Got 10%. Maybe the worst, maybe not the worst, 14%. And yes, a total low, 43%.
Right.
That it's pretty clear. That was 83 votes, which for us was pretty good, but a good number.
Yeah.
Nearly 100 people. And so that shows that clearly there is a very loyal following for Marvel who will watch and lap up anything that Marvel put out there.
Yeah.
But we're those people, though. We're huge Marvel fans.
I know. Yeah. So I'm kind of like,
I don't know, people who are paid by Marvel.
It is quite fascinating to see that, you know, I think that it's divided. There's people that really like it and
it's
people
almost
really
50,
hate it.
And you split the two top ones.
Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Which I find quite surprising. I really do.
Yeah.
You know, it hasn't been good.
33% are enjoying it.
Well, you know, if you're watching this and you enjoyed it, let us know down below, because we need to maybe be realigned a little bit, because I can't get over the fact that I hate this show.
Yeah.
But I'm strangely fascinated to see how bad it can get.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's it. I think that's the thing that they've been keeping us. Every time there's a new little trailer or something,
stick, isn't it?
There's a bit of Daredevil sort of thrown in, and you're thinking, oh, we're going to see him in the next episode. This will be interesting. And he's not. It's happened a lot these 2 episodes. I mean, another one that I was like, they don't seem to. We've talked about logic within plots and logic within things, and the bit where she's in the retreat, she's talking to those guys, and then this other. The guy that came in, who had attacked her, and she grabbed him and threw him, But it was like after that, it was like, all right, yeah, you're fine now. There was no questioning of him. There was no. Why did you attack me? What was that all about? You know, he was trying to say, I'm going to make amends, and I don't know if that is some sort of ploy to put her back, you know, because he was trying to get her to delete the Josh name, you see, Josh guy off of her phone. So I don't know if he was trying to do that to protect himself, but she didn't sort of grab him and try and, why were you doing that? And then she would have found out people are trying to get your blood. You know, she would have got that out of him, and there would have been, and there was no, that's what I mean. There's no logic to what they're doing. It's like they're just, he was so preoccupied still with her text messaging, but the guy's there who tried to attack her and had a thingy weapon to hit her with, you know.
I mean, I talk about logic with the blood side of it. So this guy that slept with her that night, apparently we get he's taken her blood. Now, if you've ever had an injection, you know there's a prick of pain, isn't it? It's going to wake you up if you do it when you're asleep.
I thought her skin was impenetrable.
Well, not when she's Jen. So
she's Jen.
So I'm thinking the implication was, because we had some little icons, didn't we, appear?
Drops.
The syringe. I don't know whether there's actually that one actually exists, or whether they had to make that up for the show.
I was thinking that's a bit worrying if there's an emoji which is I'm taking your blood.
That's a bit weird. Well, a syringe full of blood, that's very you know. So the implication is he's taken I can't logically see how he could have done that.
No.
Without tying her to a chair and then doing it, and then she would have turned into Hulk. So they couldn't actually work that story plot, so they just had to fudge it. So the story didn't work. You know, they had to fudge it.
Exactly. I mean, when you're taking blood, you also feel a kind of drawing sensation, don't you, when the blood's coming out? So it's like she would have woken up. You know, that wouldn't have. And when you're asleep,
you move, don't you? So with this syringe, even if she was asleep, she would have moved with the feel of it and just broken the syringe, or you know, or she would have noticed a bruise in her arm.
I think also there's just a total lack of action for a Marvel series. There's no action, and when they do have a bit of action, it's like
it's off camera.
It's rubbish.
Yeah,
like that whole fight, the whole fight she had with Titania at the thing. She punched her once, basically. You know, I know Titania, there was a few swings and she dodged it and then hit her, and then she gave her one punch, didn't she? And then she stood there
as well.
Yeah, I know. It really does.
It looks so terrible.
That's in the first scene when Titania did that side kick.
Jump
at her.
It was like a jump
and side kick. It was like she was floating in the air. There was no real momentum to it. It was really badly done.
It's like she was on just move her along like on strings.
Probably was.
Probably.
Well, I mean, then Titania stands up, doesn't she? At the end, there she goes to attack her, and she slips on some ice, falls, breaks her veneers,
which she wouldn't do because she's superhuman. She's got superhuman strength. So
and so balanced as well.
And then runs off. You know, so it was like, and they made her look all stupid, and then she's, you know, it's like, what the hell, you know?
It's almost as if the person that wrote it doesn't know anything about Marvel.
Jessica Gao doesn't. She doesn't. She's been proven in numerous interviews that she knows she's got a very limited base. She's got the sort of knowledge that you have for having, say, spent 6 weeks reading up about it. Where really you need, 6 months or a lifetime of understanding Marvel to sort of get the vibe of Marvel.
We've said this before as well, isn't it?
Does that mean
it should only be people who know about it that should be making these things, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you shouldn't be taking these things on if you don't know anything about it. I don't know how they got the gall to do that. You know, they
Disney
don't know anything
seems to be
about
doing that
it.
with a lot of their shows, though.
It's bizarre, isn't it? It's really
Disney.
bizarre.
I don't know. I'm wondering whether there's a couple of things in play here. Like, for example, people don't want to work with Disney. People are kind of getting a bad vibe about being associated with these programs, and they can't get any really kind of noted directors or writers. You know, so they've got a lot of money, so you think they'll be able to pay for them to come in. But increasingly, as these shows come out, people that are associated with them are getting kind of slagged off and chased down on social media. And often the production values as a result after the direction and after the writing are terrible anyway. So, I mean, I thought that the production values on Obi-Wan were terrible. I thought production values on this were terrible, you know, and the Book of Boba Fett, I thought that was really badly done as well. I just
Well, we say that we reviewed Andor the other day, and that I thought that was pretty good. You know, that's been a nice, you know,
fourth episode is much better.
It's been a good series, that. Okay, so, you know, as we've got Sarah here, would you recommend this to anybody else, Sarah?
No, I wouldn't.
In fact,
being a Marvel fan and wanting to have watched every Marvel program and film, you'd have to watch it, even though I don't recommend it.
No, I know. I'm always of the opinion you can't really criticize something or whatever if you've not watched it, if you've not taken the time to see it and see what it's about. And that's one of the reasons I'm sticking with watching it, you know, is because I want to be in that position to say, well, I've seen it and I know what it's, you know, and it isn't any good. You know.
It's flabbergasting. And I kind of wonder whether, I think in hindsight they'll look back and they'll say maybe we should have waited another 5 years, because the CGI, it's okay to do, you know, I reckon it's okay to do sort of rough looking figures. Like the Hulk is rough, isn't he? And he's got hair, but if you're trying to do a slender, beautiful woman,
I think that's probably one of the challenges that's harder than you think. You know?
The clothing, they haven't been able to master the clothing on her.
No, they haven't. Her whole body stature,
which is
hands,
crazy, because
you know they haven't got that right.
They get that right, wouldn't you?
But you think, you know, a lot of the other so like Spider-Man, a lot of his suits are CGI. When you see,
he looks a bit rubbery though, doesn't he? Sometimes I'm not convinced by his CGI.
A little bit,
to be honest.
Well, no, it looks a lot better than the Hulk.
Like, I mean,
his suit that he wore in space, that was CGI. That was awesome.
Yeah, but he doesn't have any facial features, does he? I think if you look at something like Avatar, the female characters in Avatar, they're pretty damn good. You know, so why couldn't they thinking about it, why couldn't they do it like that?
Budget, you know, it's a budget thing, isn't it?
It's made it terrible though, and I'm disappointed with the lack of action and the lack of use that She-Hulk has had. Like, she hasn't had anything good to do as She-Hulk.
And part of that is she's resisting to become a superhero, which is the only subplot that runs through the show. And that this realization that she is a superhero, they should be using this. They should be putting her in situations where she's got to save people. I think we'd endear to. It'd be more endearing if she could actually save somebody, and we'd be like, "Wow, that was great," you know. But nothing like that has happened.
No.
And actually, in the last 2 episodes, when she's been Hulk, she's just been punching someone that's annoyed her, rather than going out and saving other people.
No, exactly. No, very true.
Well, pretty much condemned that, didn't we?
Okay, well, thanks for joining us today. It's still not working out with the She-Hulk for us, I'm afraid. We've got Sarah on board and she hates it just as much as us. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'd love more people to subscribe and obviously press the like button. If you've got any comments, you know, obviously, as Toby said, we've got our little poll there that quite a few people like it. So, you know, come on, tell us why you like it. We want another perspective, really. Anyway, well, thanks again, and we'll see you soon.